Andy Wagner of UpFromSplat.com. Welcome to the Find Your Core Green Uprising interview series. The Find Your Core Green Uprising is an event that celebrates the best of you, the parts of you that you may not be currently acknowledging and using. When you claim the best of yourself now, you have a lot more fun instead of putting so much effort into changing yourself before you can have the life you want. This week's Core Green expert guest is Sierra Goodman. Now, Sierra is a writer and life coach and the creator of the I Am Diet, and she doesn't mean diet in the usual sense of the word, and I'm going to have her tell you about that in a minute. After struggling with weight issues, Sierra dropped 170 pounds using a plan she describes in her ebook, Weight Loss and the Law of Attraction, the I Am Diet Workbook. She's the creator of the Becoming Thin Visualization, an audio that guides you through slimming beliefs while you listen to binaural beats that put your mind in a receptive state. Sierra is my hero. She's banished about the amount of weight that I'm in the process of removing, and her ebook and audio have been very instrumental in helping me get going on my own, what I call a slenderifying process. She takes a spiritual, energetic approach to remolding your body, and I found her story incredibly inspirational and her advice very powerful. And I knew she'd be great for the Core Green series because one of the first things she has you do in her ebook is go on a rampage of appreciation for yourself. She really gets how important it is to claim and honor the wonder of who you are now before you make a change. So Sierra is also a Become the Dream Life coach, and she works one-on-one with clients to release their weight and limiting beliefs. Sierra, welcome to Up From Splat and the Find Your Core Green Uprising. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
So before we get to this week's CIS, which stands for Core Green Inspiration Seed, which is a question I ask each week to kind of get people thinking about what they have going for them, I'd love for you to tell us your story. Tell us a little bit about your background, share the story of your body transformation, where you started, where you ended up, kind of your journey through that. Would you be willing to do that?
Sure. Wow, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short for radio.
Hey, you go for it for whatever length feels right.
Okay. Well, I'm one of those people that have pretty much struggled with weight all my life. It's gone from chunky to severely obese to thin and then back again a few times. I've really put my body through the ringer going up and down. And I got really tired of that, and I knew I needed to make a change and to just get to what happened this time. I take people to swim with dolphins and whales, and it's a big part of my life. And, it got to the point that I was looking like a whale myself, and, and my work, I'm in a bathing suit, so it was embarrassing for me. And, the dolphins and whales don't mind. They love it unconditionally, but I minded,
Mm-hmm.
And, what happened one day is that I slipped and fell on the tile in my bathroom and almost took my eye out and, got a big black eye and, my whole face hurt. And that's what I call a painful manifestation. And when something like that happens to me, I know that the universe is trying to give me a message that I'm not getting. It's kind of like a clue by four, knock you over the head.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
And just in case people missed that, could you repeat, because I think it's so cool, painful manifestation. That is so profound.
Yeah, a painful manifestation because, we create our lives, and I believe the universe is on our side, to do that. And if we're not listening to some of the signs and messages that the universe is trying to give us, when I say universe, just let me get this part out of the way because I'm going to say it a lot. When I say the universe, I mean God, source energy, all that is, infinite intelligence. It's all that for me kind of rolled into one, just so you guys understand what I say when I say the universe. For me, it's that.
Okay.
Anyway, we're always getting, messages that we sometimes don't listen to. So when I take a fall like that, you know what? One of the other big turning points in my life was when I fell and broke my ankle. That's a whole other story. This time I fell on my face and it hurt, and I was like, whoa, I need a change, because I was at a point in my life, you know, everything was going really great, you know, living here in paradise and going out and swimming with dolphins and whales and having fun, but I was in, you know, I wasn't growing spiritually. I wasn't expanding. You know, I wasn't really doing anything. I was just kind of in a pleasurable rut, you know,
Right.
but a rut nonetheless. And so when I fell, I was like, okay, something needs to happen. So the next day, I called my friend. She just happened to have a trip going to swim with dolphins in the Bahamas, which is where I got started with my whole dolphin swimming thing. And I knew I needed a change. I knew I needed to get away from here, away from my daily routine, and get these messages that I wasn't getting. So before I broke something else, so I went out and I went to the Bahamas like 2 days later after my fall, you know, with a big black eye and weighing over 300 pounds. And I had an experience on this trip where I went to my cabin because I was so tired, and I usually don't sleep during the day, but it was uncontrollable. And I laid down, and I had one of the most lucid dreams I've ever had, that this dolphin swam around me and then went out several feet and came right towards me, right at me at a fast speed, and hit me right in the chest with its beak. And I went somersaulting back. And I was like, whoa. You know, and I woke up to the sound of them calling dolphins, which meant there was dolphins around. So it was so real to me that I said to the universe, if that dream was real, I see that dolphin right now. And I get in the water, and I did, and there it was, and it swam all around me. I mean, it was that dolphin. And, you know, the message I got was that it was a heart opening, that, you know, I had so much love for the dolphins and for people and all of that, but I wasn't loving myself, was the big message. And
that is huge. That gives me chills. I
know, me too. He was telling it for the 10,000th time. It gives me the chills. and so I came home, and I knew I needed to change, and I wasn't quite sure where to start. And then someone from the trip sent me pictures. And when I saw myself and how I looked, that was just like, you know, an aha moment. Like, you know, and you can probably understand that, you know, a lot of overweight people are kind of disconnected from their bodies.
Yes.
And, you know, I just always feel like me, no matter what I look like on the outside. I'm me.
Right.
And I had no idea that I was that heavy. You know, I'm not sure if I was weighing, I don't think I even had a scale at that time. And, you know, we tend to just kind of glance in the mirror and make sure we don't have food on our face or something, but, you know, we don't really look, you know, and you don't really know how you look to other people anyway. Right. And I was just like, oh my God, you know.
I know very well what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't realize, you know. And so when I saw that picture, you know, a light switch went off, and I was like, okay, this was part of what happened to me. And, you know, it's time to deal with this weight thing, because I'm allowing it to hold me back. I'm allowing it to, as an excuse for everything, you know, why I don't do things, why I don't hang out with people. You know, we use our weight as an excuse to not fully live life, you know. Yes. And I really saw where I was doing that, and I said, okay. I wrote something in my journal, something like, I cannot do this all by myself. Please show me the way on, you know, what I need to do, what I need to eat, tell me what to do, you know, how do I stop this? And, one of the things that came to me, and, I don't like to recommend products because I really want everyone to follow their own intuition. But one of the things that kept coming up over and over and over and over for me was Japanese green tea. So I got online and I ordered, the best stuff I could find. And, I'm in Costa Rica in the jungle, so it took, 10, 15 days to get here. And it, no overnight delivery here. And and in the meantime, I just one of the books I read, and again, I am not recommending a diet, but I read the South Beach Diet. Now, I've been a vegetarian for about 25 years, except for fresh fish sometimes when we catch it. But something that I read in that book, not following the diet, but something about protein. And I realized that to lose weight, you actually need protein, more protein than I was eating. Mm-hmm. And, so I made a switch and, to find what I could eat as a vegetarian. And so I started eating a lot more nuts and seeds. And I just kind of started on, what I started focusing on was being thin and not on being fat. And that's what really made the difference. I stopped focusing on how much I had to lose and instead focused on how much I'd lost. I stopped focusing on the negatives. I stopped being a fat person in my head. And it was like my body just was like, she's not fat anymore. And it, like in a year, I lost 170 pounds because it was all my body could do to catch up with who I had already become mentally. Wow. So, yeah. So then I wanted to share what I had done with people, and I said, I'm supposed to write a book. I'm going to write a book. And one day when I was out on the boat, which is, where I have my best thoughts, it came to me that, what I had done and the acronym of DIET, which doesn't stand for diet. What it stands for, the D is deservabilities and desires. And that is, first before you can do anything is to know your self-worth and feel that you deserve to be thin. Because otherwise it becomes a test of willpower and how long your willpower can hold out. Just like, I'm not going to eat that, I'm not going to eat that. But once it is. It's a test of your will instead of it being who you are. Uh-huh. And that never lasts. Willpower does fade out eventually. Some people faster, some people slower, but it fades out. So, feeling worthy is number one on this. And then getting really clear on your desires. I wrote down a lot of I am statements like, I am a size 6. I am healthy. I am exercising regularly. I got really clear on what my desires were. Because if you're not really clear, God, the universe doesn't really know what to do with you. So it's really important. So deservabilities and desires is the D. Excuse me. The I stands for intuition and inner guidance. It's so important to listen to your inner guidance and not what everybody else is doing, but to listen to you and your body. Your body is going to tell you what it needs. It's going to tell you what nourishment you need. And when we're overweight, we're eating so much that you're not even listening to your body. You don't even know if you're full or hungry, so it's really starting to listen to that. And inner guide, this diet acronym, I just want to say now, it applies to weight loss, but if you listen to what I'm saying, it really applies to anything and everything in your life. That's it can really, it goes with everything. So the E stands for emotions. And I mean, all of us that have, this food thing going on, we know that food is tied to emotions. And, whether it's like your mom telling you there's starving kids in Africa, finish your plate, or, stuffing your feelings down. And I was really big at that. instead of feeling or instead of saying what I really wanted to say, I'd stuff it down with food, and it just the whole thing, the whole avoidance thing. And so it's really good to identify the emotions that you have around food and how you use food to make you feel better. And we all know that catch-22 is, we eat to feel better, and then afterwards you feel worse.
Right. Oh, God. I am so familiar with that. Yes.
Yeah. It's this cycle we get ourselves into, that we use food to placate ourselves, and then we feel like crap. So it's a cycle that needs to be broken for sure. And then the T stands for thoughts. And this is, one of the most important parts is changing your thoughts about your body and about yourself, and replace your old thoughts with new, healthy, high-vibing, thin thoughts. And this is also where visualization can come in. Like, one of the things I did, I have about 25 steps that lead up and down to the beach.
Uh-huh.
And as I was coming up, dragging my 300 pounds up and down them, I started visualizing myself running up the stairs and skipping up the stairs. And like, really, when you visualize, you really have to feel it. You can't just like let this little picture run through your head. You have to experience the feelings. That's how visualization works. It's really tied to emotions and passion. So, just changing your thoughts and become a thin person in your mind. So that's basically, that's basically what I did, and it just happens to fit in with the acronym of diet, which is perfect. And so that's kind of the story, the short story. And I'll let you ask me questions from there.
Okay. First thing I have to do is comment on some parallels between you and I, because I'm sitting here with my mouth hanging open. One, I too have been a vegetarian for a really long time, and with the occasional eating of fish. And one of the things that has come to me, and I did not get this from you, it just was something that my guidance told me in the last 3 or 4 months, is that I need to eat more protein. And so I too have been eating lots of nuts and seeds and that sort of thing. So I find that really fun. And you also mentioned breaking your ankle, and you didn't go into that, but I have to say that when you talked about your painful moment of hitting your face, my painful moment was in 2008. I broke my ankle, and it was this huge wake up call for me. It was actually this feeling of the universe telling me, you are going in the wrong direction, and so we're going to sit you down. And that's basically
exactly.
Yeah, and I tore up actually both ankles, and so I was actually literally stuck in bed for 6 weeks. So it was one of those things where that I can so relate to what you're saying about that. So anyway, I had to just comment on that because I'm blown away. And also, I don't know if you know this, but I live by the ocean. I don't swim with dolphins because I'm up on the Washington coast, but the ocean, you talked about being out on the boat is where you get your most inspired thoughts, and for me, being on the beach is the same thing. So we have a lot of parallels. I thought that was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this week's CIS, which stands for Cord Green Inspiration Seed, which is a question I use each week to get people in touch with the wonder of who they are, is what's your favorite physical attribute and how can it help you create the life you want? So one of the great pieces of advice that you give in your I Am diet is focusing on physical attributes we like instead of on the ones we don't like what you were just saying about focus on the positive and not the negative. And so you're basically, you advise that we love our way into our new body instead of hating our way out of our old body, which is what we tend to generally do. So can you tell us what your favorite physical attribute is and how focusing on that or several of that has helped you create what you've created?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I like about my body. I mean, I love my hair, I like my hands, I like my boobs. I like, I like that I'm short, although sometimes clothes don't fit me because I've got a short torso, but I like being, petite. and now that I'm not, round also, you can tell that. It's funny, when I lost a lot of weight, people said, God, you look so much taller. And it was because, my width was smaller.
Right.
But anyway, and besides, like individual body parts, which I think can be a little scary for some people. Like, you start taking your body apart and, picking it apart. I mean, the most beautiful bodies in the world are going to tell you things that they don't like.
Right.
And I think the best thing is to focus on the whole, like the whole of who you are, and not get caught up in the every single body part and taking it apart, and I wish I was this and I wish I was that, because we chose the bodies that we're in, and to, you just gotta, like, well, like I said, like I would, make sure my nails were painted really nicely. I've got like long, strong nails, and just focus on the good things. And this isn't just for weight loss. This is like in your life, focus on the things that you like. Focus on the things that you want. Don't focus on the unwanted, because what you're focusing on is what you're bringing to you.
Right.
And holding to you. It's like people will join, forums and blog and do all this stuff about what they don't want. And what are they doing? They're holding it right there in their lives. And once you, like, what you can do is take what you don't want and go, I don't want this. And then go, but what does that I don't want make me want? So like on one side of a paper, you can write, I don't want. And then on the other side, you can say, I want. And then you have your list of things to focus on.
That's really good. And you just answered my question. I was just going to ask you, if someone were to insist, because I have met people like this, where they say, no, I'm sorry, I hate everything about my body. There is absolutely nothing that I like. I just hate my body. And I was going to ask you, what would you advise? And what you just suggested, that's a really good thing for somebody like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have choice. We have choice in our thoughts, and if someone wants to go around telling the story that they hate their bodies, well, that's the life that they're going to live. Like, we came here to enjoy life and be happy. And if you're going to spend your life focusing on hating your body, well, you've set yourself up for a pretty crummy life.
Yeah.
And you have a choice in that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That is really true. Do you think there's any value? I've actually met some people who, they're very overweight, or they have disabilities and whatever, and they've told me that what worked for them, and it didn't make sense to me, and so I'm just curious what you think about it, is that they completely disconnected from their physical attributes. They basically like turned themselves into the idea of the non-physical spiritual being, and so they completely stopped caring one way or the other about how they look. And do you think that serves us, or do you think being conscious more of the whole, I think I know what you're going to say, but being more conscious of the whole, including the physical, serves us better?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've been talking about that a lot lately, and for me, I was disconnected from my body most of my life. And it was when I connected with my body, because we are human beings, we're spiritual beings, but we are in a physical body right now. And we did come and choose to do that. So I'm finding that the more I'm grounding in my physical body and not trying to ascend it or enlighten my way out of my body, the more physical, the more I blend mind, body, and spirit together, equally blend them, the better I am. The more grounded but yet spiritual I am, and disconnecting from our body is what overweight people do. Right. And For me, and I can't say what's good for everybody, but, for me, disconnecting from my body was a big part of the problem.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who have, and I'm speaking of the person I have in my mind when I ask this question is my mother, my mother's very, very skinny, but as she's gotten older, she's 70, I'm thinking 77, 78 right now. And as she's gotten older, of course, she's lost certain physical attributes that used to be really, really, really matter to her. And she's very, very appearance oriented. It drives her nuts that I'm overweight. Anyway, she, I know
we're so similar in so many ways. Go ahead. My mom was a Weight Watchers lecturer. Need I say more?
Oh man, do you know exactly what I'm talking about? Okay. So, but I know that there are people who have, and to an extent, I've kind of had to do that too. I mean, I've actually ended up with a slight disability from my ankle accident, and I've had to go through the process of accepting that loss and then refocusing my attention on, what's left, on what's the positive stuff that's still working. Do you have any helpful advice for people who have gone through a process like that where maybe they used to be gorgeous, but something's happened and now they don't fit that societal ideal anymore, or something's happened to leave them with a disability, or something's gone wonky with their body and now they're left with less than what they used to be and they just aren't able to be okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I broke my ankle too, and I've got a plate in my ankle, and it doesn't bother me here in the warm tropics, but when I go to the cold, it definitely does. And,
right.
I just don't focus on it. And it's really hard if you have some kind of painful something, I can imagine. But I mean, even then, and probably more so then, you've just really got to focus on the good stuff, and, I'm turning 40, oh God, I'm turning 47 in a few weeks. And, the whole aging thing, I've just learned to embrace it because we're so much more than that. And I do understand, your mom, because I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm just not quite as hot as I used to be, but I shine through in other ways. And I think that's when, and those kind of moments, it's when who you really are really needs to shine through. You've really got to embrace the whole picture. Right. And, not can do about it, so you make the best of it. You focus on the good stuff. You focus on the whole.
Yeah. I'm going to back up to something you said when you were telling your story.
Sure.
We're starting to pick up a little echo. Well, hopefully people can deal with that.
Yeah, I don't think anything's open here, so.
Yeah, it's on my end.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I think it went away. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
So one of the things you said that you really put your body in the ringer with the up and down, your weight going up and down, and I was sitting here nodding my head like a bobblehead doll because I have so been there. And in fact, I was just writing about this yesterday. I was thinking about how in awe I am of my body and how incredibly, how it's hung in there. In spite of, I'm turning 51 in a month, and I just, in spite of literally years and years and years, because I used to be thin. I was thin through my early 30s, but even then, I was always up and down because I always thought I should have been thinner than I was. And so.
At least your mom did, for sure.
Absolutely. That's exactly. She started me dieting, when I was in my teens because I wasn't as thin as I should be. But one of the things I realized was, in spite of everything I've done to my body, it's still here and I'm still in pretty darn good health, and I'm just so in awe of that. Did you find that process of really, in the process of getting these under control and going on this journey, did you really start to just have this extraordinary, like, overwhelming flush of appreciation for your body and what it does for you? And do you think that plays a role in your body dropping pounds?
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that. Our minds control our cells. Our cells are waiting for instructions from us. And if you're appreciating your body, your cells react to that. I mean, we're like, I don't know quite how to explain it right now, but your mind is in control of your body. And when you're appreciating it, and when you're picturing yourself thin, your cells are scrambling to match your thoughts, to match your beliefs. And, I think it's so important to do that, to appreciate. And our bodies are amazing things. Like you said, I mean, I've taken my body up and down, several times. And that it was willing to come down again, I'm forever grateful, But can't we just stay up here and stop this roller coaster, And I was like, no, one more time. So, it's really important, and the body, the things that people put into their mouths, the processed foods and all of that, and the body just goes, okay, I'm gonna process this. And that brings up another thing about beliefs, though, also, because, people that have eaten what we would call an unhealthy diet, they can live to be in their hundreds. And you know what it is it's your beliefs about what you're eating. Because, thin people, they eat hamburgers and cheesecake, and they don't gain weight. And it has to do with what they believe about those hamburgers and cheesecake, And so if you believe that, this whatever food it is going to make you fat, it's going to make you fat. So there's a whole thing about beliefs, and I talk about it in the ebook.
Yes.
What you believe is what you achieve. And your body. Go ahead.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because it's it's huge. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I have to share another thing about my mom in that, and it's right to what you're talking about. She's, like I said, really, really thin. But she's lived her entire life with these really stringent beliefs about what foods are good and what foods aren't, and you can't eat this and you can't eat that, and this is bad and this is good. And I find it really fascinating that even though she's very thin, she has developed something called diverticulosis, which means that, like every other thing she eats, she's in huge, incredible pain. And and I find it really fascinating because no matter what she does, no matter what action she takes, she's still really struggling with her digestive system. And I watch, and of course I talk to her about all these ideas, these principles, and she will nod her head and say, but it's just not clicking. And I think that's a really good example of what you're talking about, because even if your belief system is not making you fat, your belief system can certainly make you sick.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Your belief system can create cancer. Your belief system can create and does create all the illnesses, and you'll find that the illness always matches the beliefs. There's something in there, and I don't know your mom, so I can't say, but, there's some belief that she is holding on to, and it's not necessarily about food. It could be anything in her life that she's not able to digest things. There's something about not digesting things in her life.
Right.
So, it's always a match every single time.
Right. Do you have any suggestions for people, if people are listening and they're going, God, you're right, I have all these beliefs and they're really negative beliefs. What would you tell people to do at that point, and how to shift those?
Yeah, well, some of the beliefs that we have were formed, they'd say like your basic belief system is formed between age 1 and 6. And so your subconscious mind is like built to protect you. So, in that vulnerable age, your unconscious mind is like soaking up everything that's happening around you and every feeling that you have, and is creating your belief system. And that's what runs you the rest of your life. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can change those beliefs. And, a lot of it is just really, you have to stay present. Like, go, okay, I'm thinking this right now, because we run our beliefs and we don't even realize what we're doing. We don't even realize they're beliefs because they're just who we are, who we've become, I should say, because it's not who we really, really are. But, it's who we are in the moment because of our belief systems.
Right.
And there's lots of ways to do that. I mean, they say that it takes 17 days to rewire your brain. So basically, you see a hamburger and your belief is fattening, that's going to make me fat, 2 inches on my waist. And, but in 17 days, you can change that belief, but only if you really believe it. The thing that people do is like they'll say affirmations like, I am wealthy, but their subconscious mind's going, no, you're not. Right. You can't do that. And see, you're negating everything. You can say affirmations till you're blue in the face, but they're not going to mean anything or change anything unless you really believe them. Right. And one of the ways I like to play around with that is to do what ifs. Like, if you can't say I am wealthy, let's just go off weight loss for just a second. Or we can use weight loss, like I am thin. If you just can't believe that and get into the feeling place of it, you can go, what if I was thin? And then you can start daydreaming, oh, I would look like this, and I would feel like this in that dress. And, so if you don't try to like say an I am this right off the bat, something that you just can't believe, but you can start with like, what if I was? And wouldn't it be nice if I was? And that can lead you to the feeling place that will eventually get there. Another way I like to change subconscious beliefs is with with listening to what I call repetitive audio programs, raps. And I like to listen to those at night when I'm sleeping, because when you're sleeping, all your thinking mind, your conscious, resistant mind is asleep. And it's just you and your subconscious. And if you're programming things in at that time, it's a really quick way. You wake up and all of a sudden go, oh, I kind of feel different about that now, because you've gotten down to those subconscious beliefs, because, it's kind of the same as the willpower thing. You can try, but if your conscience is going, it's not going to last. Right. So, another really method that I really enjoy is EFT, emotional freedom technique. Uh-huh. And it's really easy, and anybody can do this. And, it's basically tapping on acupuncture points as you're saying certain statements. And there's tons of YouTube videos and websites and free information about EFT that your listeners can look into, if that's something that calls to them. Okay. But definitely changing your subconscious beliefs about food and anything else you want to change in your life are key to making this a long-lasting, lifetime change. Absolutely. And that leads me to my next question, which I know some people, one of the things I have done as since reading your ebook and listening to your visualization regularly is when I first started this, decided, okay, I'd reached my top weight, which was 308 pounds. And I said, I had that same look in the mirror and go, oh my God, and look at, like that you talked about. And so the first thing I did was react the way I've always reacted in the past, which is a really stringent program. I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow this thing. And that lasted like a month at that. And that's right. When I started reading your book. And I thought, okay, to heck with all this. I'm going to just think about the way I want to feel, and then I'm just going to follow guidance, just like you talked about. And so I've kind of, been following this very, weedy little path of doing this, and then I do that, and then I get inspired to try this, and it's been really comfortable, and I'm dropping weight regularly, which is wonderful. But I know some people right now who I'm in communication with who are really pushing themselves. They're exercising. They have to exercise X number of times a day. They have to go to the gym. They have to eat this,
they're shoulding on themselves all over the place. So could you talk about the difference between following the shoulds and the rules of dieting versus following your source energy, your inspired guidance?
Yeah, I mean, big difference, as you found out. You know, there's lots of shoulds out there, and there's a million diet books, and there's a million doctors that will tell you this is the way, and, you know, exercise gurus that will say this is the only way. And what you really got to do is find what resonates for you. Like, there's some kind of little aha or click, you know, that you'll feel when it's right for you, you know, or it'll keep coming up. And this is how the universe plays with us, like it did with me with green tea. Like, you know, spam, you know, I'm convinced that the universe speaks to me through spam because, you know, like, God uses spam to communicate. But you know, really, you know, because things like show up like all over the place, you know, and, you know, you listen to those things, and, you know, that doesn't mean, you know, sometimes it's just like massive advertising out there, you know, but you just know you've got to learn the difference yourself. You know, it's not really something that I can teach because it's something that you feel. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I can tell you that what you got to do, but to find that intuition is you've got to learn how to communicate with your body. And, like, you know, sometimes, like, I'll crave a certain food. Like, you know, I'm on a watermelon kick right now, and I just go with it, you know, because my body, there's something in watermelon at this moment that my body's asking for. And, you know, being really stringent because you're following a plan and this is how it is, you know, for me, that just never worked because, you know, as you drop some pounds, your constitution is changing, and you might need some kind of nutrient or mineral, or, you know, and all of a sudden, wow, you know, broccoli is sounding really good, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, I think you need to be really open and fluid about it as your body is asking for things, you know, and eating when you're hungry. Like this whole 3 meals a day thing, you know, I think was created by, you know, I don't know, the Milk and Dairy Board or something. You know, I don't know. You know, because really, if you listen, you know, at least my body, you know, 5 or 6 smaller meals is better. Mm-hmm. You know, because there's also something to that about keeping your digestive system moving, you know, and eating really big meals. While we're all going to pig out and eat a big meal sometimes, in the long run, it's much better to have several smaller meals. And for people that really love food, that's kind of cool because you can just kind of keep munching all day. You know what I mean? Not like eat all day, but, you know, like instead of having a huge breakfast, you know, have a little bit less, and at 10 o'clock, finish it, you know, or something like that, because it's good. It's better for your body that way too. Yep. So, I mean, I think I answered your question. I mean, the difference between following a stringent plan and listening to your body is going to make the difference.
Yes, you definitely did. That's yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you say in your book, and I'm going to paraphrase, but basically it's about reacting to life with food, which is what I did as well to pack on the pounds. And one of the things you said was be aware that what you've been doing is a reaction and instead of a decision. And that was really big for me because once I, you know, really sat with that for a second, I went, God, that's absolutely, of course, it's obvious, but, you know, I didn't even realize that I was reacting all over the place. And now I'm much more conscious, and I'm deciding that, you know, that I'm going to handle my feelings in a different way. So can you talk a little bit about that concept of decision versus reaction?
Yeah, I mean, we're so programmed to just react to things, and it comes back to our subconscious and how we've always reacted to things. And, you know, this brings us back to being present in the moment. Because, you know, if you go into your thinking mind's telling you, I need to protect myself by being overweight. You'll always be overweight. It's, you know, this and that. And if you come into your present mind, you're going, I'm a thin person. You know, I'm gonna be thin. And you're conscious of your thoughts. So you're making decisions based on your now instead of on your past. And that's really big. You know, like when things come up, go, who am I now? Not what have I always done in the past? You know, so instead of making decisions just, you know, off the cuff based on your subconscious thoughts and what you've always done, like I said, get yourself present in the moment into who you are right now and who you want to be right now. And you'll make much better, clearer decisions from that place of being present.
That makes a lot of sense. That's really good. That's really good. Another great thing you suggest is having a predetermined trigger thought, you call it. Something to grab
Right.
onto when your mind starts to head down that negative path. And that's really helpful to me. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we all have these negative tangents that we go on sometimes. We're just going, oh, you know, it's because of them this happened, and I'm fat, and blah, 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 blah. And this is part of being present. You know, you come back to the present moment, and if you just can't make that particular decision any better, find, you know, your happy trigger thought, a time in your childhood when you were happy, you know, your wedding day, you know, a time you went skiing. I mean, have some, you know, puppies, children, you know, just have a thought or two or three ready to fall on that will just get you out of that mind spiral that, you know, everybody does that. You know, we go on those little, and when you find yourself doing that, you know, it's so important to pull yourself out. And once you've pulled yourself out, you can start reaching for the better feeling thoughts about whatever it is you were going off about. But you've got to get yourself to a better place before you can do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you know, trigger thoughts are important.
Absolutely. I've actually, one of the things that I have, it's sort of become my mantra, is that I just keep telling myself, and I have a couple of examples in my mind of things that have happened in the past to prove this to myself, that I tell myself nothing that's happened before predicts the future. It's all a result of my vibration, so it's always changing. And so whenever I'm tempted to look at something that's going on, some what is that I think, oh God, you know, I can't believe this is happening, and I start to spiral, is I tell myself, hey, this is just a result of some past vibration. It's constantly changing. And that really helps me as a trigger to sort of move me away from, you know, where I was going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And keeping the focus on where you want to go. You know, stop living life looking in the rearview mirror.
Right.
You know, like look forward. Where do you want to go? Where, you know, what do you want to be? You know, and you can keep yourself stuck in the past and who you were forever for the rest of your life if you do that. You know, and it's just so important to keep forward focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, having read your ebook, like I talked about, and which I totally recommend, it really, 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 really helped me, and your guided visualization audio, I can totally attest to the wealth of advice and inspiration you have for people. But can you say more about what your website has and what you could do to help people on their, say, what I call their core green, you know, finding the best of themselves, and their up from splat journey?
Yeah, sure. One of the things I'm doing, I originally started the ebook as a book, and it's much longer. It contains my story and a lot more stuff than the ebook. But about a year and a half ago, I had an opportunity to be on the front page of Woman's World magazine. You know, the one you see at the grocery checkout all over the country.
Yes, and I've seen your picture in there. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I was like, I need a product, you know. So what I did is I took, you know, parts out of my book that were, you know, I took out like all the talking in my story and that stuff, and you know, took out the basics and made the ebook. So now I'm getting to the point that I'm ready to publish the book, the whole book. So that's going to be coming soon. And on my website, you can read, you know, a lot more of my story. There's a link to the green tea if that calls any of your listeners. And there's also, I've got a group on Facebook, which I would love for your listeners to join because, support is essential. And, we all, I have bad days. Everybody has days that they really need someone to listen and understand. So I recommend that your listeners, look up Becoming Thin, and it's a group on Facebook. And I've made it private so that you can freely write on there without all your friends and family seeing what you're writing. Because I want people to feel comfortable to share there without worrying about their friends from high school.
Right.
Seeing. So there's the website, which is at im-im.com, and there is where you can get the ebook, eventually the book, and also my guided visualization, which we've talked about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the Facebook group. So
Excellent.
yeah.
I'm going to put a link to all those things underneath the link to the audio on my site. So I will have a link to I am, and I'll also put a link to the Facebook group. And I'm also, I think I'm going to put a link because I'm sure there are some people listening who heard you talking about swimming with dolphins and whales and went, ooh, cool, I want to do that, which I certainly had that reaction. So can you tell us the name of the website you have related to that?
Yeah, that's divinedolphin.com.
Okay.
And
I'll put a link to that too, so people can go check that out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, that's an incredible experience. Highly recommend it.
Oh, I bet. I can just imagine. This probably isn't true, but I have a tendency to think of dolphins as the sort of puppy dogs of the sea. And I'm an absolute dog freak, so I can just imagine it. It sounds really fun. So now you have offered to give away to one lucky winner who leaves a comment a copy of your ebook, the Weight Loss and Law of Attraction I Am Diet ebook, and your Becoming Thin visualization. And I have mentioned that, but could you talk a little bit more about that visualization? Could you explain binaural beats and all of that and kind of explain that for people?
Yeah, the music in the background on that is something that includes what they call binaural beats. And what it does is puts you into an alpha state so that your brain kind of takes it in more. And I put the kind on that you can use it in the car because there's some of those that, like, you shouldn't drive a car if you're listening to them. But I wanted people to be able to listen to it anytime. And so it includes those. And basically I'm repeating a bunch of affirmations that, if you keep listening to it, what happens with a lot of people is that they'll stop after a few days. Or, what comes up is resistance because your subconscious mind is fighting because it's trying to protect you and keep you safe from people and sex and whatever you've got around, keeping this extra security blanket around you. So resistance will come up, and that's the time that you really got to push through and keep listening. Because once you get over that, it's like right before your beliefs are about to change, for a lot of people, resistance will come up, and so that's pretty much it. It's about 10 minutes long, the talking, and then I play just the music after that. So it actually lasts about 20 minutes. And while the music's just playing, that's when you get to go off in your little fantasy world and picture your thin body. Well, it's not just picturing. Like I said earlier, it's feeling it.
Right.
And like seeing yourself in all these situations that you've put off because you're overweight. And since I just said that, something very important is to stop putting your life off because you're overweight. Start doing all that stuff that you've said, I'll do when I get thin, because you're taking the action, becoming it now. It's so important to become it right now. Even if you have to buy cute clothes in size 22, do it. because you want to start feeling good in your body, in clothes. You want to become it now. And when you become it now, your body will respond very quickly to that. Then you'll find that like your eating habits change all on their own.
Yeah.
They just do, because you're already thin, and your cravings and all of that will change when you become thin right now. And that includes starting to do the stuff that you've been putting off.
I am so glad you mentioned that, because that is so true, and it is so much what Find Your Core Green is all about. It's about being what you are now and not waiting until you change this or fix that or whatever. And I can absolutely attest. One of the things that I did back in September was start Up From Splat, and I have a lot of videos on Up From Splat where I'm in front of the camera. And at my first thought, when I had my first thought of creating this site was, oh, well, I'll wait until I'm thin and then I can do these videos. And I thought, well, the heck with that, so I put every one of my 308 pounds in front of that camera and I started talking. And I didn't put off that I was going to do this thing, and I went ahead and I really think, listening to what you were just saying now, that's probably one of the reasons why, for me, my weight started to fall off, because I did start just living instead of waiting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Become it now. Be it right now. Right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. So great. Yeah. So everybody who's listening, really, that is, I think, probably one of the most important things you can listen to and do. So all of you, I highly recommend that you get a copy of the Weight Loss and Law of Attraction ebook, Kira's ebook, and also the visualization audio, and they're both on her site. And one person who raises their hand in the comments and says, me, I want to win, I will choose one winner to win one. So one person is going to be very lucky. So, Sierra, thank you so much for your time and your energy. I had a blast. It's been really fun talking with you.
Yeah. This has been great. It's been great. Thank you so much again for asking me to come and talk with you and with your listeners.
Great. Well, I encourage you all to use each week's CIS to delve into your own psyche and life and your vibration and find your core green and claim the best of you. Be sure you subscribe to upfromsplat.com so you get your weekly prompt and receive notice of future interviews and giveaways. We are all on a wonderful journey from splat to spectacular. Have fun with it. Thanks for listening.